I have two books out, and even though I've never met Susie, I feel like I know her because she gave me my first critique on my Muffuletta. It's a Whata book. And I had
Yes.
signed up for the Austin SCBWI annual meeting in May of 2017. And I had to cancel because my husband had melanoma removed from his arm Tuesday before the conference. And I had signed up with Susie for a critique, and she graciously gave it to me anyway. And we talked on the phone. And her first question was, where are you from? Because my book is about the origin of the Muffuletta sandwich in New Orleans. It's about Signor Salvatore. He came over from Sicily and he started the Central Grocery. And it says, when Signor Salvatore Lupo stepped onto the shores of New Orleans, Louisiana, he proclaimed, I'm going to find me a little shop and I'm going to sell delicioso pastas, parmigiana, salami, and lots of more. And so then it goes through the whole book. So this is watercolor on paper. And I didn't, my husband and I took a field trip down to New Orleans, and I interviewed one of the owners named Frank Lupo. And he gave me a lot of insight that I didn't get with my research. So anyway, I just give the way that his great-great-grandfather came up with the sandwich. And then I have, at the back of the book, I have the recipe. And I guess this is just going too fast. This is more about him. This is how the book came about. This is the olive salad, which of course is not their recipe, but I use their ingredients and made up my own amounts. And it's a pretty good sandwich, actually. Has anybody been there?
No.
Okay. Well, Central Grocery is the first place that the Muffuletta sandwich was born in 1906, and you can't find it in Italy or Sicily because it's truly born in the United States. And previous to this book, my very first book is about Mother Teresa, and it is about her life as a child from the age of 9 to 18. And the reason I was interested in this was because I didn't know anything about her childhood, and I don't think many people do. This is not a religious book. It's about her life, and she was just an ordinary girl. And the reason it got my attention is because I read that she wanted to be a writer. And that was kind of a hard thing that she had to decide when she went to England and joined the Loretto Sisters convent, because she wasn't going to be able to do both. But at the end of the book, I tell you how she does. And these are the illustrations for that book. So when I started all of this, I am a retired art teacher, and I studied fine art. And quite honestly, I was told the picture book illustrations was not fine art. And so that was then, but this is now. I think they're beginning to wake up and realize that it is. So she goes through all the motions that kids go through. And she, I have her timeline back here. So, anybody have any questions?
So did you also illustrate that one?
I did, but I didn't start out to be the illustrator. I had no intentions of ever being an illustrator. But I've taught, I am a Christian, and I do respect Mother Teresa as a caregiver, and I have dedicated this book to all the caregivers in the world. And I wanted her to not look like a cartoon because of who she was.
Right.
When she's reminiscing about her father died when she was 9 years old, and many thought he was murdered. My back matter is very extensive, and her mother was in shock. They had no money because his business partner took all of their assets. All they had left was their home. So the mother was very depressed, and that went on for several months. And then she finally got it together and began an embroidery business. But her mother was always giving food and medicine to the hungry and the needy. And Agnes, which was her birth name, would go with her mother and help her. So after her mother started the embroidery business, Agnes would go out and fulfill the duties. And that was part of Mother Teresa becoming who she became. So when I was illustrating, when she was reminiscing about the good old days when her dad was living, I put this in monochromatic colors, where she's remembering the good times because they used to play the mandolin. Their home was always full of company. They were always giving food to whoever. People would just show up and the mother would say, come on in, sit down and eat. And then at the end of that, it says, nothing had prepared Agnes for the day the sick would include her father. The day her father died, everything changed. So I don't tell the kids in the picture book part. All they know is that he died, but they don't know that they think he was murdered and all that till you get to the back of the book. But I spent a couple of years trying to get this book written, and I ran into a lot of controversy and conflicting books. So I actually read in many books that she had a club foot, and I needed to know when I became the illustrator which foot it was. So I wrote the Sisters of Loreto, and they didn't know, and they suggested I would write the Mother Teresa Center in Rome. So I did, and it took her at least a month to answer me. And she wanted to know where I got that information, all this. So I wrote her back, and then it took another month for her to answer that email. And she said it was not true. And she said the only book that they consider to be 100% accurate is called Such a Vision of the Street, Mother Teresa, the Spirit and the Work. And the Work, I guess is what it's called, because I have it in another sentence. So I got that book downtown Dallas, and I went through everything that I had in my book to see if it was true or not. And so most of it was. So I said, yay, I was glad about that. So I got a hold of the Mother Teresa Center in Rome. It didn't take long at all because she put me onto that book, Such a Vision is the Street.
Oh.
And actually I've been working on this for a couple of years, but this is my very first book. And I didn't really know what I was doing, and writing it has a lot to do with putting your research together to make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So when she wrote me that Such a Vision of the Street, Mother Teresa, the Spirit and the Work, I looked on worldcat.org and I found out it was downtown Dallas. My husband and I went down there, and that little extra card that you have to check out books that are not in your area had just expired, and they wouldn't let me leave with it. So I sat there and went through the book as fast as I could. And then I found it on Amazon and bought it. And I do have another book that is written by Catherine Spink. It's called Mother Teresa, a complete authorized biography. And the reason I have that is because she claims that she got her information from Mother Teresa. Anyway, Mother Teresa to me is very fascinating.